So now that you've had a little time to kind of process, what are the feelings? What are your thoughts about South Dakota State?
I think it's a great team. I think that they've shown that they're a tournament team over the years. I think that winning and doing well in their conference goes a long way. I am excited to play them, just to get the opportunity to play. At the end of the day, I didn't really care who we played. I just wanted to get to the tournament.
What is this? Obviously, when you think back to everything that happened in North Carolina State, first year here, what does this mean for you to finally have this chance to take a team to the tournament?
I try not hard not to think about North Carolina State, but since you brought it up, I do remember saying it's going to take me a long time to dig myself out of this lost record, is what I remember saying to myself. But on a serious side, I wasn't prepared for North Carolina State. I took the job because people told me I should take the job. I didn't really think about it. And once I got the second go round here, it was something that I kind of was speaking into existence. I was willing to tell people in advance that I wanted to be a head coach. Again, I think that being able to do that goes a long way. You have to prepare yourself for what's in front of you. But if I did not endure what I endured at NC State, I wouldn't be the person I am now. So I'm not sad about it per se, but it definitely taught me a lot.
What was last week like for you, knowing that you guys are on a little bit of a downtrend and you really needed to come up with 2 wins to solidify that space and that dream of getting to the tournament?
It was very stressful. And I said to the people at the event we had on Sunday that being a head coach is lonely. Dave has told me that in the past, but I didn't really understand it. But this past week, I was lonely just because there are so many things you want to talk about or you want to say, but you don't think you should say it out loud, and you don't want to put bad vibes out, but then you don't want to be too confident. And so, you start looking at posts in social media and looking at records and things like that, all things I have no control over. But going into the year, on my mirror at home, I have a list of things that was my goal for the season. They were called my big dreams, and we've fulfilled 2 of the 4 thus far. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Share what the next one is, or win a game in the tournament, or
Actually, no, that's not it. I'll tell you off camera. Yeah.
And speaking of Dave, I assume you've talked to him since, and what was his message to you?
It was funny because Dave was like, "Oh, I thought you were in all along." I wasn't worried about it, and I'm just like, "Okay, something I don't know." And I probably would not have been as nervous per se if it wasn't for last year. Last year just kind of left a mark there, which I should just say a memory. But Dave said, "Okay, I'm excited for you." I mean, he was one of the first people to reach out to me, which I really appreciate, because one of the things about Dave, I mean, you guys know him. He is very vocal, but he's done an awesome job in not overstepping. He goes, "Hey, just let me know what you need. Just let me know if you want something." And then the other person that I have to give a shout out to is Steve Carlat. Steve was an assistant coach when I played, and then we worked together for a little bit. He has been very instrumental in just, being there and saying, "Hey, think about this, do this," and, just being there and just sitting there and giving pats on the back. So it's been nice.
For you, this journey as head coach at Arizona, the first year, it was a rough year. You went in the off season, fixed some things. Last year, you guys got better, really close to getting into the NCAAs, but then, you make the other tournament and you win it. And now you just sort of carry that momentum into this year and have done really well. What has that been like for you?
It's exciting. You got to take baby steps. I don't want to do too much too fast. I've kind of heard about that and what that looks like at the end of the day as well. But it's because I have the best people around me. That was one of the things I didn't have at NC State from top to bottom. I didn't have the people in a place where I was still able to do what my strength was and have someone pick up where I was weak. And I believe my staff and we complement each other very well and don't overstep the boundaries. And then the players are, as a result, comfortable. I wasn't my best version of myself my first year.
Pointed out the Pens coach this year. What was behind that? Is that something you guys hadn't had before? Or?
Well, we haven't had a full staff yet. Or did we? maybe my first year I did have a full staff, and then after that did not. And so, I believe in having a coach for each position, because if the players just hear my voice all the time, they're going to learn to dislike me, even though I'm very likable. They would learn to dislike me, and it's just too much pressure on them for it. And so, when we made the change, when Steven left, Ryan and I said we'll do the setters together. But then that took away from the littles. But then Avery needed someone, and Chloe needed someone to kind of talk and navigate them through things. And so, the liberos are holding tight in DSs, and Ryan does spread thin a little bit. But I knew that I wanted to get someone in here for the outside hitters, because it's a pretty dynamic group and based off of what they're capable of doing. But these kids are very smart, and so they do street credit on people and making sure that they're legitimate going in. And Simone comes in and she's played at a high level, and she's very smart. I mean, she's one of the smartest people I know, actually. And so it has helped the players just to get comfortable with her. But it was nice that I had her in the spring, because had we had her just in the fall, it would have taken them a minute, because they do take it a little bit to warm up to people.
Is that par for most teams, or is it just this group that they don't?
I think it's par for every team.
When you think about leadership, in the past, maybe you've had some quiet people on the team. Who's taken that role here, and what is different about leadership this year?
Well, I think the experience, just getting out there, and then, there's always someone on the team that wants to talk, and they're loud and they're aggressive. But if they don't have that street credit, or they don't play, people tend to go, okay, whatever, you're not out there, you don't know what's going on. And they've gotten rid of that. They are willing and able to listen to everyone. And it's because I didn't per se name captains. You just kind of organically watch and see who they listen to and how things go, and then they run with it. And then the key is to put everyone in their best place, get the best version of them, and sometimes that's that person coming off the bench. Sometimes it's the person that played in the beginning that's not playing now, or the person that wasn't playing before that's playing now. It just gives that ability for our team to grow as a result of it. And I think that starts at the top. Is me recognizing that the person that doesn't play as much still is valuable. When we were calling the challenges, the bench were the reason why I called the challenges I called, because they were dialed in and they were focused. And then you go over there and give them high fives for it, and that makes them feel good. It allows everyone else to say, okay, all right, I do have a role. And for me, that's what's most important, is that everyone feels that they're valuable.
And at the end of last year, and into the spring, what kind of message did you give to your team to sort of not only keep up that level, but then to do what you did this year to make sure that you were in?
Never to feel that feeling again that we felt on that Sunday, December 1st, 2024. I mean, we all relived it, and that's when I started my goals on my mirror. Never wanted to feel that again. That was probably the hardest day as a coach.
Of the long NIVC run last year, does it help a lot going into the postseason now?
I think it does, because it's been a while since we had been to a tournament or played longer, and so the players tend to think things differently. I said this before, and I'll keep saying it, is in the past they were like, hey, when do we get to go home in December? They were asking that question when they were first coming out in the summertime. No one asked me that question. And then I thought about it. Maybe they asked Brooke, but she would have told me if they asked. So I'm going to choose to believe they did not ask that question. So that meant that they were ready for the long haul.
Obviously, Stanford would be the second game, but what do you see in them in case you're in that game?
Well, one match at a time is what we're thinking. So, not getting too far in advance, but we have to do scouting. And Stanford's a great team. And funny enough, I had just watched Stanford play Louisville in the ACC tournament. And I texted Kevin afterwards and congratulated him, because his team grinded and battled the entire time. And, and that's what you expect from Stanford. It's a familiar foe in that sense. And while several of the players have never been up there, they know who Stanford is. And so it's one of those matches that's nice you don't have to get pumped up for, but we have to take care of the first day in order to get to the second.
Having played Nebraska this year, are you surprised what they've done?
No, I mean, their roster is deep. I mean, their bench could go to any top 10 program and start, so they're a deep program.
being able to go to the Bay Area where it's, travel is relatively easy, you're not going to a smaller place, how important is that?
It's nice. I don't know if it's necessarily important, but it's super nice that we don't have to change time zones in terms of losing time. We'll always take some extra time for rest and sleep and recovery and things of that nature. But it's nice because we have a lot of fans on the West Coast, and so they'll get an opportunity to play. And I've reached out to several of my teammates, and they'll be there. So I'm excited.
You've talked a little bit about leadership and a little bit about mentality of this team, but what really makes them special? Because there were times this season when their backs were seemingly against the wall, and they came out big.
That they care about one another. I mean, you say it all the time. We've had teams in the past where I thought the culture was good, and we had some where the culture was not good. But they're willing to speak up. I mean, they're always doing things off the court together. And I'm not crazy enough to think that they all get along all the time, but it never carried into the gym, and they never complained, which is amazing because I knew we were tired after that Houston-Cincinnati stretch. They never once said they were tired. And then after, I forget what other match it was, we were tired. I said, "You guys tired?" And they were like, "Yeah." And I said, "It's okay to say you're tired." So I don't know if I've put a fear in them that they can't say they're tired, but they don't use it as an excuse because I literally sit back and say, "What would you like me to do about it?" We're all in this place together, and that's why I always still get up early in the morning. So when I'm tired, I know they were tired. So today, I struggled.
Most Rita Stubbs player on this team?
Ooh, most Rita stuff. Okay, from a sassy standpoint, is Journey. I mean, it's actually kind of funny, and then she's very shy, and she'll kind of go, "No, I'm not." Yeah, Journey is sassy. In terms of always asking questions, keeping you on your toes, Avery. It's literally. But the person that wants to be fun and always probably should be more serious, Sydney. All right, thank you.